gentlemen, it's Sleep Week here, and today it's time to have all of your sleep questions answered. Joining us is clinical psychologist and sleep medicine expert, the sleep doctor himself, Dr. Michael Breus. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us bedside here today.
Absolutely.
Kelly,
I get
a lot of
excited
questions.
when it's Sleep Week because we get to do the show from the bed, and that is relaxing in and of itself.
And there's always something weird that happens on the show when we're in bed, right? So one time Strahan fell out. One time Jerry O'Connell jumped in his underwear.
Oh, do you remember that where Jerry and I were we were like
Somehow
rubbing
it's been
our
erased
legs.
from my memory.
We were rubbing our legs against each other, but like inadvertently. It's just
always
like what
something
we do.
interesting
Well, we're going to keep it on track today.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right, so we got some questions here. Let's get to it. All right. By the way, look at this. Look at the font in this book.
Yeah.
This will put you right to sleep.
Yes, this will put you right to sleep, trying to read the font.
All right, go ahead, Cal.
So these are viewer questions.
Got it.
Okay? Can you take a nap in the middle of the day? This is from Bob Odenkirk.
So who was on earlier today,
Yes.
correct? So the answer is yes, you definitely can take a nap during the day. Turns out there's a particular time of day that's better to nap than others. Somewhere between 1 and 3 in the afternoon, you have a small core body temperature spike, which makes it easier to fall asleep. But one of the questions that I noticed Bob was asking was how long should I nap for in particular?
Right.
You want to do exactly what Ryan was saying, short nap. 25 minutes or less works the best. Believe it or not, NASA did a study looking at a 7-minute nap, and it even worked. But believe it or not, the other thing that's important here is if you just take some time out during the day, like 15 or 20 minutes, even if you don't fall asleep, it's still somewhat rejuvenative.
I was very upset with myself because on the flight home yesterday, I fell asleep for about 2 hours. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'll never fall asleep. But I did. I think I was just so exhausted, I fell asleep. You know,
Well,
I don't know
we
if
had a lack of sleep.
we
for
had a
2
lack
days.
of sleep,
So
so
it's
I
kind
think
of-
it made up for it.
Right, it
okay,
kind of
but
built
I
up.
was very panic-stricken that I would not be able to fall asleep.
The key factor to remember is if you sleep too late in the day, it affects your ability to fall asleep that night. So your panic is well placed, but the good news was...
This time, Doc. All right, what's next?
My panic is always well placed.
I mean, Cal, every now and then. What's next? What is the best time to go to sleep? Calvin W. from Newark, Ohio.
So there's a lot of different variability here based on something called your chronotype. So if you're an early bird, as an example, you don't want to be going to bed at midnight, right? Even if that might be the right time for you. Other than that, what I tell people to do is take your normal wake-up time, subtract 7.5 hours, okay? So if you normally wake up at 6, you're going to go to bed at 10:30. Right?
But it takes me like sometimes 90 minutes to fall asleep.
That's okay too. I'm giving people a general range.
Just to be in the bed.
In the bed,
In the
7.5 hours before you're ready to wake up. That gives you some time to be able to fall
That's good
asleep.
for you. You're in
Do
the
your
bed
thing.
at like 5:30.
Yeah, when Wheel of Fortune's on, I'm crawling in.
Okay,
all right,
what's next? Let's see. Okay, why do I keep waking up in the middle of the night at the exact same time, 3:30 a.m.
Ooh,
from
Catherine.
Catherine R.
So this is actually more common than you might imagine. So what happens is when you go to sleep around 10:30 at night, your core body temperature rises, then it begins to fall. And it keeps falling. That's why we like people to sleep in the cold, right? But eventually, it's got to turn back up. Otherwise, we go hypothermic, which is not good. And so when you turn up, it's somewhere between 2 and 4 in the morning, which puts you in a naturally lighter stage of sleep, which is why people, yes?
Quiet hand, Dr. Breus. Well, why not just make it warmer in the room so that the body temperature doesn't
This is a
fall,
personal
hence
question.
us not waking up?
So we would actually want to make it cooler in the room. But then again, if the body gets too cold, you start to shiver, and then you don't wake up. Again, this is a
Mark
natural
wins again on that
process that we actually want people to wake up. But here's what happens is when they wake up in the middle of the night, 90% of people fall right back to sleep. The folks that don't fall back to sleep are the ones who look at the clock.
Yeah, I don't know
do the
any
mental
of
math,
the people that
and
fall
figure it
back.
out.
I have not met those people here.
We can teach them how to do it.
Okay.
Let's see what is up here next. And the magic board. Should you let teenagers sleep in or force them to get out of bed at your own risk?
So this is big at our house, okay? So I have a 19-year-old and a 21-year-old now, and we went throughout high school dealing with this. So this is gonna sound popular, but not so popular. I actually let them sleep in on Saturdays, not on Sundays. So here's what happens. Your average adolescent needs 9-10 hours of sleep. On average, the data would suggest they're getting about 7, maybe 8 if they're lucky. So I let my son and my daughter sleep even until noon. And so, I come from the household where you're wasting the day by spending all of your time in bed type of thing. not true, especially for teenagers. Let them sleep in on Saturdays, but not so much on Sundays, otherwise Mondays will stink.
Do we have time for another one? Yeah. Great, let's do it. Why can't I sleep in? I wake up every day at the same time, even on weekends.
A reading.
I decided that I'm going to read that.
A reading by Kelly from Erica.
So this is actually a good sign. So believe it or not, your body has a circadian rhythm, and if it wakes up naturally at the same time every day, you're actually doing really, really well. So it's not a problem, it's a good thing.
Oh.
All right. You know, I like how the questions sort of reveal themselves. Let's see the slow reveal like it's a game show.
Slow reveal once again.
And
here we go.
what are some methods for falling asleep quickly, Dr. Breus?
So there's a lot of different things out there, but let's be fair. You can't just snap your fingers and fall to sleep. If you could, I would have more money than I'd know what to do with, right? So a few things that you want to have. One thing people need to know is you want to have a heart rate of 60 or below. This helps you enter into a state of unconsciousness. My favorite technique for doing this is called 4-7-8 breathing, right?
I know this.
So you breathe in slowly for a count of 4, hold it for a count of 7, then slowly breathe out for a count of 8. This automatically lowers your heart rate. So this was actually developed by Dr. Andrew Weil, believe it or not, for the Navy SEALs. And it's very, very helpful. But you do 7 cycles of this, your heart rate dumps below 60, and you're in great shape.
You told me about that.
Yeah.
And you told me about that.
I told him.
I've heard about that.
What about our old brains? Because we don't get, we frequently don't sleep enough.
When I looked at the study, here's what we discovered is these were looking at people who have sleep-deprived brains, right? So normal sleep deprivation. You guys are a little bit on the extreme side, but here's what we notice is you can actually make up for it. So if you get good sleep, you can reverse some of those things. So let's say the study looked at one night of no sleep whatsoever, and then what happened to your MRI afterwards. So what we now know is it takes about 3 days of getting good 7.5 to 8 hours of sleep to sort of make back up for some of that.
I'm going to have a dream tonight that I'm like
not
sleeping, and you're going to be right there in a stool next to me saying, you know what you need to do.
Lucid dreaming
Live in the
with
dream.
Dr. Breus.
Live in the dream.
Dr. Breus, thank you so much for coming. For more information on all of this, you can check out the Sleep Doctor, more tips on our website.
And say hi to your mom from us.
So, absolutely, my mom watches the show every single day. So, hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
Just wanted to let you know.
What's her name?
Beth.
Beth, hi.
We'll be right back. Beth, there's more. Stay